Last week was honestly one of the worst weeks that we're going to see all season with the NBA Cup chaos. And while this week looks like it's going to be back to normal, there are some serious traps that you need to avoid when playing the waiver wire. A ton of teams only have 2 games this week, and if you're not careful, that alone can and will cost you your matchup. So in today's video, I'm breaking down the perfect waiver wire ads that you need to have on your team right now, and the players that you should seriously consider dropping before they start to kill your team. Welcome back to The Corner, your #1 destination for everything fantasy basketball related. Every single week, I'm giving you guys waiver targets, trade advice, sleeper picks, and everything you need to stay one step ahead of your league. If you have been enjoying the content here on the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a single upload. We're going to kick off this list with Marcus Smart. He is finally back into the starting lineup for the Lakers after missing the past 2 weeks with a back injury, and with Austin Reeves now set to miss at least another week, this is one of those situations that you want to be early on. Smart finally has a clear path to minutes and usage, and the Lakers need him right now. This is not going to be Boston Celtics Marcus Smart by any means. He's not running the offense, but in his role, he doesn't need to do that at all. He's going to be on the floor, he's going to take open threes, and he's going to rack up assists, steals, and defensive stats. The combination plays extremely well in fantasy leagues, especially if you're in a points league when the role is locked in. The Lakers only have 2 games this week though, so this is the trap, and both come later in the week. And there's no Sunday matchup for this team. So this is not going to be a must-add player right now, but heading into Thursday, if he's available, Smart really becomes a really strong pickup if you need someone to play that day. If Austin Reeves misses more time, Smart has a real chance to outplay his roster percentage right now and stick as a rotational piece for the next couple of weeks. Next, we have Isaiah Stewart, and he has been a huge part of the Pistons' success so far this season. He has been excellent in his role. He's only playing around 22 minutes per night this season, but even in that limited time that he's on the court, he's still giving about 28 to 30 fantasy points per game, which is exactly what you're looking for from a role player. The Pistons have quietly been one of the better teams in the league the entire season so far in the NBA, and a lot of that comes from their depth. They don't rely on one guy just to do everything, and Stewart fits perfectly into that system. He knows his role, he plays hard, and the production has been very consistent so far. The Pistons play 3 games this week, which isn't amazing, but it's solid compared to what a lot of teams are dealing with the 2-game schedule. Because of that consistency and the way the Pistons are playing right now, Stewart ends up on the higher end of my priority list as a pickup this week. He's not flashy, but he is reliable, and reliability matters in weeks like this. If you have been locked in on the channel, then you already know this name. Peyton Watson has been one of the better fantasy players over the past month, and the opportunity isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Aaron Gordon is still slated to miss at least another month with the hamstring injury that he got in November, and as long as that is the case, Watson is going to continue to have a real role in his rotation. He's doing exactly what you want from a waiver pickup, playing solid minutes, contributing across multiple categories, and not hurting your lineup. This isn't a fluky 1-week run either. The production has been consistent, and the Nuggets clearly trust him right now in that role. Because of the injuries in Denver, Watson is a 100% safe add in almost every single league format and is honestly getting close to must roster territory. The Nuggets have 3 games this week, including a matchup against the Magic, who have been one of the weaker defensive teams in the league all season. As long as Gordon is out, Peyton Watson should be on your roster. Jamal Sheed is going to be 100% my priority add this week. Last week, he got an extended look with the starting minutes with Emmanuel quickly out with the cold, and he absolutely took advantage of that opportunity. He looked comfortable in the rotation, played with confidence, and showed that he can contribute when given a real run. Now, Quickly is back in a starting lineup, which means that Sheed is moving back to the bench role, but this is still a week where he matters a lot. The role in Toronto is starting to grow. The trust is clearly there from the coaches. This is the most important part. The schedule is doing him a huge favor in week 9. There's 4 games this week, and volume alone gives him value in a slate where a lot of teams are barely playing. In weeks like this, having players with more games can swing your matchups. If Sheed can give you around 20 fantasy points per night, that adds up over 4 games, and yes, I understand that's not flashy, it's not a big number, but he is a smart add, and he's exactly the type of player that can quietly help you win your week this week. Next, we have Jalen Tyson, and he has quietly been one of the biggest breakout stars in NBA fantasy this year, especially for the Cavs all season. And that trend has not slowed down at all, even after the slight injury that he had. I honestly thought once Garland came back into the rotation that we'd see Jalen Tyson's role dip just a bit, with fewer shots, fewer minutes, or something along those lines, but that has just not been the case so far this season. If anything, Tyson has proven even more that he belongs in this rotation and should be rostered in pretty much every single league format moving forward. Right now, Tyson is only rostered in about 23% of leagues on ESPN Fantasy. And that number is way too low for the kind of production and consistency that he is giving you night in and night out. This is a move I really like if you're looking to add depth to your roster or lock in another steady contributor who isn't killing you in any category. The one downside this week is the schedule for the Cavs. The Cavs only played 2 games, so he's not a great flyer if you're trying to maximize games played or make up ground in a close matchup. But from a talent standpoint and from a role standpoint, Tyson is absolutely a player that you want on your roster moving forward. Just maybe not someone you're prioritizing as a streamer this week since we are still dealing with the weird NBA Cup schedule. Now, let's move on to players that I think should be drops at this point of the season. And we have to talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. JJJ has been flat out abysmal so far this season, and yes, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when I said this might be tied to the coaching change in Memphis that happened at the end of last year. At this point, I think that concern is fully justified and flat out proven at this point. There is no real trade marker for JJJ, so unless you're trying to sneak him into a 2-for-1 deal, and even then, that is going to be very tough to pull off. The production just has not been there all season, the efficiency has just not been there all season, and the role just doesn't look fantasy friendly anymore. This isn't just a slow stretch, this feels like a season-long issue that we're going to be dealing with JJJ all year. In shallow leagues, you cannot afford to hold this player, you have to drop him and pivot. In deeper leagues, you should be actively sending out trade offers trying to get rid of him and seeing if you can get anything back before his value drops even further. Holding and hoping at this point is just burning a roster spot, and he will cost you games. Next, we have DeAndre Hunter, and I honestly believe that DeAndre Hunter is a drop in all formats, shallow or deep. There's really no way around it at all at this point. Back in the second half of November, it looked like Hunter was finally finding his footing and starting to get the stride with the Cavaliers, and he was starting to carve out a real consistent role as a contributor on this team. Since then, that window has closed. Since that brief stretch, the production has completely fallen off a cliff. Over the past 2 weeks, Hunter is averaging just 12 fantasy points per night. And that's simply just not usable in any format. Those are the kind of numbers that quietly tank your matchup every single week while you're hoping for a bounce back that will never come. There are much better options sitting out on the waiver wire right now, players with clearer roles, higher upside, and just flat out better schedules. Holding on to Hunter at this point is just burning a roster spot. You should cut bait, move on, and take advantage of the wire. And to finish off this list, we have another Cavalier, and trust me guys, I'm not trying to pick on the Cavaliers at all, but they have a lot of issues that's going on with this team. Jared Allen started off this season absolutely on fire, but over the last stretch, he's cooled off significantly, and I don't think that's a coincidence or him being tired. A lot of this comes down to his health. Earlier in the season, he broke the ring finger on his left hand, and now he's dealing with a strain on his right hand. When you're a big whose game relies heavily on touching the ball, finishing around the rim, and rebounding, that combination does matter a lot for you. I don't think this season is going to be a lost cause by any means for Allen, and I'm not saying that Allen is all of a sudden washed or that he can't play basketball anymore, but right now I'm saying that the injuries are clearly adding up, and the production dip reflects that every single night. And because of that, he is firmly on my radar. I'm not saying it's time to trade him or drop him just yet, but he is on my radar as a trade candidate in deeper leagues if you can still get value for him. And in shallow leagues, he's getting close to drop territory if you need to stay competitive week to week. This is more about timing, because if you wait too long, his value is going to completely disappear. So that is my list of players you should be adding right now and moving on from this week. We're finally starting to get back to some normalcy around the NBA schedule, but let's be real, with this many teams still playing only 2 games, one bad decision can swing your entire matchup. And this is the part of the season where staying active separates contenders from everyone else in the league. If you found this video helpful, click the video that's on your screen right now. I break down the best players you need to add today before your league catches on. Thanks for stopping by the corner. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.